Hi everybody, welcome to another video. This one's a comparison video. Now those of you who've been watching the channel will know that I've had a project tank for a while and I've got another one, and we did a priming video to prime them up both the same so they're both the same colour, etc. So this is the first video of the true comparisons really, and you know, I've got quite an array of spray guns. And one of the first things that came into my mind to do as a comparison was a cheap gun versus a more expensive gun. So I came up with the same stable, which is the Italian ANI stable, which are good. I find they're very good quality guns for the sort of price tag they have. Well, full stop really, but certainly for the price tag they have. They seem to be very good quality, and they do quite a range as well. I mean, most of the stuff I get from Sprayguns direct as far as the ANI stuff goes, but there are other stuff they do, more expensive stuff as well, which I have no idea what it's like. But just to let you know that the range is bigger than what Sprayguns direct sell. I presume they just sell a certain range and that's it. Anyway, that's by the by. So we've got the ANI GF3, which is the small minigun, about 27 GB pounds, which is at the moment probably about $40 US. Pounds a bit stronger, so about $40 US. Obviously I can't go through all the different currencies, but if you know it in US and GB pounds, you should be able to find your currency. And the ANI F160, which is UK, is about 102 GB pound, which is about 140 US dollars, 145 US dollars at the moment. So that's the sort of price difference. So it's about three and a half times even difference in price. So it is quite different. So I thought it'd be really interesting to see how they spray. And what I wanted to do, as I said before, is I wanted to do the same materials, same product, spray the same item, so in this case a tank, exactly the same tank, at the same time of day, so the temperature's the same, the weather's the same, because if it's humid it can make a difference to the way things lay down and the way it goes on really. So everything is as the same as possible. Now I did heat the tanks up before I actually did any spraying, and I've got one of those I can't remember what it's called actually, GM600 or 900. It's a little spot temperature gun. I've got one of those, so I tried to do it within 2 or 3 degrees, exactly the same as each other. So heat the tank up, make sure they were the same more or less, as best you can really, I suppose, in the environment I'm in. So make sure they were the same temperature as each other. Heated the paint via hot water so that it was around about 22 degrees, so it's the same for both. I've gone with the slightly over the recommended pressures on these. The GF3 is 1.5 recommended, but I find it's better, even with base coat, I find it better about 2 bar. But it would depend on the accuracy of your gauge, etc, as to what you spray it with. But I would, I find it sprays in my setup it sprays a bit better with it being a bit higher. And the ANI R160 is recommended anywhere, I think it's 1.5 to 4 bar, something like that. And I'm using that about 2.3 bar. For base coat, and for clear I would use it probably more than that, normally more than that. It depends how thick the clear is and how warm it is, or how thin the clear is. So I'm going to do another video. I've got a viscosity cup, and I was going to do another video just to show how important it is to warm the clear up to get better results, especially if you're doing it, we're in the northern hemisphere, so it's our winter at the moment, so it makes it more difficult, because most days I'm in 10 degrees Celsius, which is about 50 Fahrenheit, is like a heat wave really for the winter. So it's quite chilly most of the time, so you do need to warm stuff up. So going back to the two guns, one's, as I say, 3.5 times the price of the other one. So I've got 2 tanks. I marked one tank at the back with a little tag. You'll see there's a little tag on it. So the more expensive gun, the ANI R160, which is what I'm using now, went with the one with the tag. So when you see at the end, I've done a video, and a higher quality video at the end of the 2 finished tanks. You'll see the one with the tag is supposedly the higher quality gun, certainly the more expensive gun. So when I was using a pair of them, I can only convey to you what it felt, and I didn't see much difference at all. You can look at the video at the end and tell me what you think as far as any differences is concerned, but I didn't see much difference at all. Certainly not 3.5 times the difference. So I think spray guns are quite objective, really. If you get on with something, it doesn't necessarily have to cost a fortune to give good results. And if you're like me, you like good quality tools, so you don't mind paying the money, but you're probably not, well, I don't think you are getting, you might get that extra 5% better results, but would people notice it? Maybe not. If you were doing it for a living and it was really crucial, maybe they would, yes. But it's down to the individual, I suppose, as to how much they want to spend on this stuff. But I was hoping by doing this we could see whether spending all that extra money really made that much of a difference. So this was originally this is base coat. This was originally going to be base coat and clear coat, but I cocked up, really, because what I was doing with this, I just wanted to they take the same pot, so I just wanted to dirty one pot, and what I was doing was using one gun. You'll see this is a GF3, actually, sorry to break off, this is GF3. You see the pattern is slightly crooked, it's like a slight curved pattern, it's nice and even, but it is curved. And normally that means that one of the air holes is putting out a little bit more air than the other, and it tends to curve the pattern slightly. So you would think it was maybe a slightly blocked air hole. It isn't, it's just the way it's made. So you can tell the production tolerances aren't that good, but certainly in the case of this, it made absolutely no difference, really. The pattern was, although it was curved, the pattern was a good pattern, a good solid pattern, same at the top as the bottom and in the middle, which is what you're after, really, to get a good even spray. And so it didn't make loads and loads of difference. But anyway, back to what we were saying about the guns and the price of the guns. When you're paying out that much money for the guns, you think to yourself, well, will I be getting that much of more of a better deal? And I'm hoping, as I say, by doing this, we get a chance to see. Anyway, I was saying about the clear coat, so I was trying to save myself some time by just using one, as I did with this, one cup, and I was just using a gun. As I say, I wanted to do it, I didn't want to do one and then do another, because the temperature was changing all the time. I wanted to be as fair as I could on both of them, really. And that might just be me going over the OTT, I don't know, over the top, but this is just the way I felt about it, so that's the way I did it. So I was changing the cup over for each coat. So I did a coat with one gun, and then unscrewed the cup, put it in the other gun, changed the tank over and sprayed that, which worked absolutely fine for base coat, no problem at all. Because it's quite chilly, although I've got my sleeves rolled up, I wanted to make sure that as little mess got in the paintwork as possible. It is actually about 9 degrees, so it's not hot, it's reasonably chilly, certainly for painting anyway. So I mixed up some clear coat with an extra fast hardener, because I thought that would be fine in these conditions. That would be fine, and as long as both of them have exactly the same treatment, it should be absolutely it should be absolutely fine and comparable, which is obviously what we're after. So I mixed the clear coat up, and as I say, it was extra fast. So I did one coat with the the R160, no problem there at all. I did another coat with the GF3, no problem there at all. Did another coat with the F160, no problem there at all. But when I'd come back to the GF3, where obviously I'm unscrewing the pot, so the air is getting into the inlet tube, you know, where you would normally, where the thread is for the pot, the air is getting in there. And what I didn't realise, it had obviously started to, because it was the second run, it had obviously started to go off. So then I put the pot back on with the clear coat and started to spray, and within like the third or fourth spray I realised that I'd cocked it up really, because what was coming out, if you've ever seen clear coat, when it starts to go off, it comes out slightly candy flossy, if that makes sense. It comes out with a sort of like a stringy effect, slightly stringy effect, and of course it hits the work and it tries to run out, but it doesn't run out very successfully. And what I'd effectively done was ruin the comparison for the clear coat. It's not the end of the world, because what I did was I sanded it down, and I actually ended up using two totally different guns, because I had to clean these out anyway. I used two totally different guns for the comparison, because I thought, well, if I've done that, I might as well use the opportunity to try out two different guns again. So I just had to, you know, wait for it to dry till the next day, sand it down, and I used two different guns. But it come out like a candy floss, and because I'd ruined the, you know, there's nothing I could do really. I'd ruined the test, in my mind anyway. I'd ruined the test, and as I say, when I started up again, once I'd sanded it down, I thought, no, I'll try two different guns, and it'll give me a chance to show two different guns. But you see the pattern there. This is the F160. You see the pattern it's a lot. I mean, I've opened it up to put a bit more fluid out, because you actually see that I missed the first coat with the the R160, which I apologise for. But as I say, it was really cold, and the camera, it'd been really cold overnight, sort of like 0 degrees, and the camera's left in the garage. And when I came out, obviously the temperature was warmer, but in the garage it's still quite cold. And when I came out, I put the camera on my head, and that's also why sometimes you'll see it slightly misty at the start of the filming, because the heat from your head makes the camera lens go frosty slightly. But obviously there's not much I can do about it. I sometimes try and heat it up now with a heat gun, just to get a bit of heat in the camera so that it doesn't do that. But yeah, I put the camera on my head, and the batteries, if they're a bit low and they've been overnight, they show 3 bars on the, you know, on the charge thingy bob, but it must have turned itself off. And if it turns itself off midstream, it'll often lose that video, which is exactly what it did. So I missed the first coat with the F160, but you know, the results, it didn't make any difference to the results. It just means that you only see me spray in one tank that's in primer. So the two guns, as I say, I will let the end video speak for itself, but one is 3.5 times more than the other, and I know the GF3 is a good gun. I know that already. If you look through my playlist, you'll see that there's a few different 3 different things I've done with the GF3, and they've all come out pretty well, especially for a 27 pound gun. And this was absolutely no different at all. The GF3 performed really, really well, and to be perfectly honest with you, I could turn around and say to you that one looked better in the flesh than the other, but to be fair, they looked the same. And here's the video afterwards. So this is a higher quality video. Obviously it's base coat, so it dries matte. We're not looking for a gloss finish here. And this first one, you see that little bit of wire there, which is actually plastic wire. That was the R160, and this one is with the GF3. And I think you'll agree that, you know, same paint, same conditions, same sprayer, same air, everything exactly the same. I don't think same tank. I don't think you can see any difference really. So I hope you enjoyed it anyway. As I say, it's first of the genuine comparisons, and hopefully we'll do some more. But yeah, I'll leave you to be the judge. But I think I'd call it a draw, and because the GF3 is cheaper, I'd call it a victory for the GF3. All right then, guys. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.